pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Salchow? Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Dr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bahrain?
Here, and again, Ms. Samaniego, the reason for the meeting this morning at this time is to accommodate the business department because of the budget, correct?
Yes, it
And you
is.
added other items.
That are pertinent
and
and
we
important.
couldn't wait till July the 5th.
Yes,
At the regular
exactly.
meeting. Okay, want to make that understood. So with that, we don't have any public comments.
No, sir.
Let's move directly to item 2A, discussion action on the approval of the proposed district annual expenditure budget for fiscal year 2022-23. Mr. Soto.
Good morning, Mr. President, board members. Thank you for accommodating us early today. And as you know, we have to have these meetings with 10 days prior to the adoption of the budget. So the adoption is going to be on our regular board meeting on July 5th. So that's why we had to have this special meeting to do the proposed budget. One of the things, you have the budgets in front of you. One of the main things to know about this budget is that we had to fill the forms with this current year's base from the state, because as you know, late yesterday it finally was approved. So pretty soon we're going to have to come back, and after the adoption, probably August or early September, we're going to have to come back and do a revision with the new numbers. On a good positive note is that, the state is actually giving us more money. They're getting rid of some other little things, but they're adding more weight to ESS. Now we're getting a little bit of an allocation for gifted programs, and now the base level also was increased more than the 2% that they were thinking that they were going to do. Again, once we get to the right forms and the new approved amounts, then we're going to come back and do a revision to this budget. I don't know if you have a specific question in regards of this current budget. Keep in mind also, last board meeting we approved all of those longevity, loyalty, new stipends, and it's including all of the increases to classified and certified employees. They're already in this budget and already encumbered.
Mr. Soto, sorry, Mr. Bahrain, can you just let the board know, so this proposed budget is based on what amount per student? I think that's important to share.
The amount, it's, Sony, remind me, 4,445 per student. That's the current base amount.
And with the new
The new one is $4,775. So it's an increase of $300 and some per student. It's a big one.
Well, you know that increase already.
Correct. But again, the forms, the state is not ready to submit the forms to the school districts, so actually we can propose and adopt that budget based on that amount. That's why we have to do this one with this current year's base amount. But again, we're going to come back and we're going to input those new numbers and new allocations that they're giving us to give us a different budget amount for next year.
Did you want to add anything else?
No, I just thought, before there's discussion, I wanted to point that is what it's based on, our student ADM funding, and what will be the new one once we're able to bring it for a
Do the
revision.
revision. Mhm.
Okay, members of the board, do you have any specific questions regarding anything regarding the budget?
Yeah, I had a question. Wanted to know if we should save it for the discussion, or can I just ask it right now?
Let's make
We-
a motion and then we can discuss how we went.
Well, okay, yeah, if you want to get a motion on the floor, go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
Okay, I move to approve the expenditure budget for 22-23. Second.
By Mr. Ramos. All right, now go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
Okay, Mr. Soto, I just wanted to know, they've taken away the teacher experience index. What was our current numbers with that included?
They're not taking away the TEI. The TEI is still in place. We haven't been benefiting from that for quite a few years because we don't have a lot of experience. We're getting a lot of brand new teachers. especially this year coming in, we have a lot of brand-new teachers. So that index is still going to be at 1.0, so we don't get a benefit whatsoever. So that's still staying. They're getting rid of some other ones, the teacher compensation, which is the 1.25. Typically, the state give you two base numbers, saying this is the base for all districts, and for teachers that qualify for that teacher compensation can increase by that 0.25. Typically, only the small districts will get the base with no compensation, and everybody else will qualify. But now they wanted to make even for everybody, and then just eliminating that, and all of the districts are going to get the same amount, the same base amount. But the TI, it's still in place.
Oh, all right, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Members of the board, Dr. Gomez. Your mic, Dr. Gomez.
What, oh, yeah.
Hey, go.
Okay, one of the things that I have to kind of laugh about, because I don't know, it was last year or the year before that, we kind of got dinged a little bit from the public because we didn't have a budget for books for the library. And now I see here you got 85,000. So that's kind of good, you know. And then
Yeah.
the other thing is, when you have this longevity, and you have a teacher that starts and then maybe takes a year off and then comes back again, that teacher has to start again?
Correct.
Okay,
It has to be continuous.
yeah, okay, that's it.
Mr. Ramos? Just quickly, just hitchhiking on that 85,000 that he said for the budget, how much of that is local money?
That's capital money. It comes from the state.
Right, right. And then the other thing is, that budget only reflects it doesn't reflect any special programs or anything.
This one reflects ESSER monies and all of the federal grants, and that's why if you look at the total, 58 million, it's a lot. And we had that conversation a couple years ago from Dr. Gomez too, saying, how come we went from this previous year to this huge amount? It's because of the ESSER monies are making a big impact. When those monies goes away, we're gonna go back to our regular 30 million or 35 million.
How much longer you got on that ESSER money?
One expires this coming September, ESSER 2 expires in September, and then ESSER 3 expires the following year, in September also.
Any further discussion, members of the board? Dr. Gomez?
Well, so the total budget, according to here, is 36 million?
That's the estimated, but if you look at the bottom, number four, the total
Yeah.
aggregate is 58 million,
Oh, see.
which is M&O, capital, and all of the federal, which is ESSER, Title I, and all
Sure.
of the titles, that's the total budget. And just to touch on what Dr. Gomez said about budgeting, this is just the budget. It doesn't mean that we cannot move monies around when it's needed. Again, I go to the schools, and if they need library books, they can just tell me I need library books. I can just move monies from the other line in capital and move them there. That doesn't mean that if it's not specified here in the proposed and the adopted, we cannot make movements, so we can.
And also, I want to add that under our total $58 million and some budget, it does encompass all of our grants and federal programs. So Mr. Soto and Sonia are still responsible for that oversight of all those monies that come in through federal programs. So he is ultimately responsible for all expenditures
He
there
goes
too,
to
and
jail, not
oversight.
us.
Yes. So.
Okay.
So just want to make sure that, because oftentimes they think, oh, the person running federal programs
Yeah.
can totally do with whatever they want to do, and that's not true. So he's still responsible for that oversight.
Okay, members of the board, anything else? And just as a point of interest, just to show proportionately how much that construction is for that of course that the state facility board is going to pay for, but how much is that total project?
That total, I don't have the exact number, but it's
20.
30-some millions. It's 33, 32 million
Just to
dollars.
show you how much
And our budget is
proportionally that is
30-some.
to,
What our budget is.
right.
Yeah.
What our budget
The
is.
total annual budget.
All right, have a motion on the floor, roll
Yes, sir.
call.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item 2B, discussion action on the approval of the Douglas Unified School District number 27 certified and classified salary schedules for the fiscal year 2022-23. Mr. Soto or Ms. Samaniego?
I'll go ahead and start, and then just, if there's any questions, or Mr. DeSoto can chime in. On your background information, it was stated there, what you are seeing here as a general increase is that on the proposed administrator salary schedule, the increase on the base level is by 1,000. On the certified salary placement schedule, the increase is by 500 per grade. The classified salary schedule, the base increase is at 75 cents on the hour for every category, and there are no changes to the extra duty salary schedule. We presented at our last meeting the longevity pay, so that information was shared again on this background information for you. So the longevity pay from this point forward will be anybody within the district from 6 to 10 years is at $250. Will receive that. It's 21 to 25, 500, 16 to,
That's a typo. That should have been 11 to 15.
which one?
The second one, the $500 one.
Okay, so we'll make that correction. So
Yes,
second,
sorry.
on the longevity pay is 11 to 15.
11 to 15, correct.
Okay, all right, at $500, and then 16 to 20 years, $1,000, and 21 to 25 years, 1,500, and the 26 or more stays at current, which is at 2,500. So in a nutshell, those are the main changes that you will see on on all the salary schedules on the base level, okay? Mr. Soto, I don't know if you.
Yes, just want to clarify that those levels of 21 and up, the 1,500 and 2,500, they're the exact same amounts that were there before on the certified side, but they changed for the classified. The classified was, I believe, 1,000 and 1,500, and the salary committees decided that time is time, and it doesn't matter if they're certified or classified. So that's the major change. The other thing is, like you know, the minimum wage is always an issue. The classified salary schedule, that's the proposal as of right now. I don't know what the minimum wage is going to be in January, but if we need to adjust it, then we're going to come back in January and make that adjustment in case that it goes over the minimum wage that we're proposing at this point for the district. And like Mrs. Salmonella said, the main thing, the major things are the loyalty longevity that it was implemented, that is going to start implementing for the employees this coming year.
Can I get a motion on the floor to approve?
I move to approve.
Mr. Lindeman, is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Gomez, any discussion, members of the board?
I have just
Go ahead,
one
Dr.
question.
Gomez.
Yeah, okay, so on the category 1, where it's 1355, what is the state minimum wage right now?
Well, right now it's $12.80.
Oh, okay.
$12.80, and that's why we're increasing by 75 cents. But then
Yes.
again, we don't know.
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
And if you remember, previously I was able to give you an amount starting in July before knowing what the state was going to give us, because they were kind of pretty, constant. Now it depends on inflation, and as we all know, the inflation is way, way out there. And I'm just hoping that the minimum wage stays under that 13.55 or. But again, if it goes over, then we're definitely going to have to adjust it again.
Okay.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yeah, thank you. I was going to just ask, and I think you answered my question, that this would be put on the base, and I was going to ask how it would be paid out, the longevity, and it's put on the base.
No, this is a separate stipend. It was talked about during the meetings with the salary committees, but it's always been a stipend. Mm-hmm. It's always been like that, separate. And I know it's not much, but let's just say if you qualify for the $250, then it's just divided by 26 pays during the year, not in addition to. It will be a lot hard to calculate and add to classify. For instance, convert that stipend to hourly and then add it to their hourly. I understand the benefit that probably that will for their retirement, especially for people that are like 26 years or more. But that's the recommendation as of right now is just that continue to be a stipend like it's always been, but it's not added to their base, to their salary.
And on the wage notices, Mr. Lindeman, and on teacher contracts. So classified staff gets a wage notice, and then certified staff gets an actual contract. So the language is very specific on those two, where it says your salary is this, your hourly salary or base salary, and then there's a line item which says your longevity stipend is the amount. So that's very clear in the language.
My other question may not be pertinent, or it is, but are we going to run afoul of the state expenditure limit again that they were talking about?
Yeah, funny enough, we just got an email this morning from Chuck Essex. Apparently, the legislature is going to come back and have a special meeting to talk about it. He is not very confident that there's going to be a solution at this point, but at least they're going to start talking about it. We're still going to facing about $1.5 billion for the whole state. The risk's still there that we will have to cut our budgets, almost at the end, like happened this year. And the solutions are either the legislature comes back and gives an absolute and fix the whole thing. The other one is just say, okay, we're just going to cover it like they did this year, and if they want to continue that. Obviously, the proposal from all of the education advocates is to actually have the legislature fix it for once and for all and not having this issue anymore. But now they're going to come back pretty soon here, probably within a week, to start talking about it for the aggregate expenditure limit.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, members of the board?
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Berrien.
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of summer school recruitment stipends for certified and classified staff. Ms. Samaniego?
Okay, I'll get to that item. On your background information, I wanted to be as specific as I could as to the information that you need in order to approve the stipends. This was part of ESSER-funded stipend, and we started this last year when we presented the summer school program to you. Due to COVID-19 and the struggles for getting teachers to want to even work during the summer school, during our trainings with ESSER grants, it was strongly encouraged to, in order to assist school districts to get staff to work, recruitment, retention, and summer school programs, to add a stipend. So the information is there for you. It's ESSER funded. We have a one-time, and this is approved allocation under ESSER 3. Employee contract and wage notices allow for a one-time payment not to exceed 15% of the annual salary. And once it's board approved, then the employees would be compensated in the amounts specified in the background information. So we have a total of 65. Actually, there is a change, and I'll continue this. So the stipend for certified staff is at $750, classified staff $300. The food service staff was broken up into 2-week sessions, so it's $150 stipend, and the total here is $61,500. You do have a list of employees with name, ESSER funded, the amounts, and I do have one correction before you actually vote on this, to remove Alan Valencia and Amy Rojas from the list. So when that motion is made and voted, those two individuals will be removed from the stipend. And in order for this to be something that is allowable, then the staff had to commit to working the summer school and have perfect attendance. So that was a little, the bonus there and requirement. So some staff missed a day, missed 2, and they wouldn't qualify. So this is a list for approval.
Get a motion on the floor, Mr. Lindeman.
I move to approve with the removal of the 2 names as nominated by Ms. Samaniego.
Is there a second?
Second.
Did we have a prior motion? Did we have a motion on, we didn't have a motion on this, no. So we need a motion to approve first, and then with the motion for approval, with the exception of the names that she mentioned.
So we can add.
Okay, I move to approve, and then we'll have the exception of the 2 names as mentioned.
Okay, with the exception of the, how many, three names that were?
It's two names, and Mrs. Cox is just notifying me, so I'm not sure we can do this, Mr. Breen, and you can let me know. Apparently, there's three names that are missing from this list. I don't know if we're able to add them and mention them right now and add them as part of the list, or would I have to bring them on the July 5th meeting?
To add them, or?
Yes,
to-
there's three people that Mrs. Cox just notified me right now that are missing from the list that should be approved. So my question is, can we add them? And I name them, and part of the motion will include them, but they're not on the background information. So should we wait for the
But,
July 5th
so
meeting?
what's your concern, that they weren't posted?
Yes,
as
that they-
part of
yes,
the-
uh-huh.
No, because when we approve in totality the
Okay.
amount of people,
Uh-huh.
just say anybody that would be affected by this.
Okay.
And then that would encompass and
three.
include those three people.
Okay.
All right, so
Okay.
that'll be included in the motion. It's already said.
Yes.
You've already made the motion, and the motion is all-inclusive anyway for anybody
Okay.
that's qualified
Yes.
for that, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Any further discussion regarding that? Roll call.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Breen.
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval to renew the district service agreement between Douglas Unified School District 27 and Vail Unified School District for the AZEDS outreach program, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes. And so here, this is something that we have with Vail District, and they really work with us and New Student Center in that support service. And so this, Denise, I know that now with Mene being gone, they are going to be, Anna is a new Student Center supervisor and will be a lot more involved in supporting her. So this is something we bring to the board on a yearly basis.
Entertain a motion to
I
approve.
move to approve.
Second,
Second.
by Mr. Ramos. Any further discussion? Administration, any further discussion?
Well, we've had this agreement with Vail for a while.
Yeah,
haven't we?
with Norm
Right.
Purdy, Director of Data and Outreach.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Breen.
Yes. So we're now on item E, discussion information on the status of the Auditor General's recent audit findings of June 15, 2022. And members of the board, the reason this is on the agenda, not only because we were all personally notified by the Auditor General, because the administration is also notified, they're copied, but the board is the first line of oversight. So if there's ever a finding like this, then the board has to deal with it and make sure that the compliance and that all of the findings are complied with at some point. And you'll notice, just for the record, that the reason that there was concern regarding this was that in the finding, the auditor stated that it was only one of 6 travel expenditures reviewed, which indicates that there could have been, or there might be more. Because when they do audits, as you all well know, they take samplings and they do it intermittent, just at random. So the other thing that's concerning to the board always is the language when it says failure to follow prescribed procedures set forth by ADOA, which is Arizona Department of Administration, may result in inappropriate reimbursements and a misuse of public funds, which means that we have to ensure that what they want as a solution is in the bottom of the paradigm where it says the district's governing board should ensure that district policies comply with the most recent reimbursement rates as prescribed by ADOA. Additionally, as the auditor's review was based on a sample of travel reimbursements, the auditor may not have identified all errors related to overpayments for travel. Therefore, the district should review all reimbursed expenses and seek repayment. Now, that's going to be the big item of discussion. Seek repayment of any overpayments found, including those noted by its auditors. In other words, if there's even more other than the ones noted in the audit, that the district should seek repayment. So I just wanted to preface the item for discussion with that, because the severity of not only having a finding like that and the district having to take remediation, then we need to find out now from the administration what they're going to do to ensure that we're in compliance. So I'm going to turn it over to Anna now.
Yes, so this is something that, I as a superintendent take very serious, and so does Mr. Soto, and so I will say Sonia as our business office supervisor. You were informed that I got the same email, and so I want to give you some background information on what this was and how it happened and what steps we're going to take moving forward to make sure this doesn't happen again. So obviously, anything that takes place as far as any expenditure in the district regarding whether it's travel or ordering a capital item is always looked upon and approved first and foremost by our business office department. And at many times, you are told you can't order this out of this funding because it's a capital item, or this is not allowable because the auditors don't allow it. So that is always the conversation that takes place at business office. What happened in this case, this was not a conference that we attended. It was a leadership retreat held by myself and my leadership team with all my principals, all the assistant principals, and all the directors. So there was a total of 19 of us that went. And this retreat serves the purpose of establishing our goals for the year, professional development on our end. It was after the year and a half of COVID. So we met for 2 long days and worked to develop our plans for the next school year. Prior to even establishing and deciding what we were going to do, there is work involved, and so 3 quotes were attained by 3 different hotels, 3 different sets of meal plans that the hotels would offer, because the point of going somewhere was not to waste a lot of time by going out of the hotel and eating and coming back and wasting time. So Alma is the one that organized all of this and talked to business office, and we did what we were told to do, which was get 3 quotes and establish the best pricing for the type of travel we were going to do. And in this language, we had been notified by our regular auditors during our exit interview, so we were aware of this, and when we have an audit finding, you always discuss on how you're going to correct and prevent this from happening again. So we had the discussion during the exit interview that, first and foremost, this when we organized this trip, it should have not been considered like a normal conference, because when we attend a conference, there is a registration fee. So, for example, it'd be like $500, and that $500 per person includes the sessions, includes the continental breakfast, and the lunch that they offer. Now, dinner's, on their own. And so what business office looked at and perhaps didn't know is that, or didn't further look into it, was, okay, this is not a conference. This is Mrs. Samaniego taking for a professional development leadership retreat for her staff. So we should take it as look at the travel reimbursement guidelines and treat it as such. So what should have done is maybe we should have gone, people would have had breakfast on their own and had lunch on their own, and then come back to the district and get those reimbursements and turn in your receipts, and then be paid at the per diem amount that is all in the accountability accounting manual, which is all laid out and perfectly said there. So had that been done, we wouldn't be under the situation that we're in right now. So when we discussed this, we knew what the mistake was, and we knew moving forward, anytime, whether it's in Douglas or in Tucson, that is a leadership, something of a board retreat. Like, I could take you guys, we all could have a board retreat as a board and the superintendent, and we could do it elsewhere. We'd have to all treat it as a reimbursable meal and stay within the lodging that is allowed by the accounting manual. So we knew that moving forward, and we had talked with the auditors. Now, this coming through, the issue is the repayable, the overpayment. Because the question becomes, is it a gift of public funds? And so, I take this very seriously. When I was notified and I received the same email as you, I got in contact with the Auditor General, and as stated in the email, And I said, okay, can I have a discussion about this? Can you guide me through this? I need to have a better understanding of what this, of how to correct this. And are we bound to, are we obligated to repay the amount? So the amount, as shared in that document, I don't think you have an amount, Mr.
Yeah,
Burns.
it's
$3,000,
$3,000.
yeah, $3,000, $792.59, which includes the overpayment based on what is allowed under that accounting manual, which includes the meals and the lodging. Okay, so it includes the hotels and the meal. So if you divide that up between the 19 people, it comes out to $199.61. And so that's the amount that each one of the attendees would have to pay back to the district. That covers the meals and it covers the hotel. And so when you try to book a hotel, you always ask for the government rate. And sometimes hotels, unfortunately, don't give you that government rate. But that should have been something caught by the business office, right? That, that's not under the premise or the amount allowable. That would not be considered a gift of public funds. So moving forward, after I spoke to the Auditor General, when I explained that the situation and what it was and how it all happened, she advised me to then contact our legal counsel for further guidance to determine if any of this is not considered a gift of public funds and what would we really have to pay. So I did that. Our legal counsel is Jessica Sanchez. She hasn't really worked on it full blown where she's totally writing something to the Auditor General. She just gave me some initial feedback. And that feedback, and I'm just going to read what it says here. I reviewed the information provided. Even though the district did not follow the meal reimbursement requirements, the expenditure on food is still allowable and not an illegal gift of public funds. District employees have a provision in their employment contracts that food may be provided as a fringe benefit and to foster good employee relations. The district can provide food food to its employees, so as long as the food costs are not exorbitant, which I don't believe to be the case here. There is an issue, however, with the lodging cost. There is not a similar contract provision about lodging that there is for food. Because of this, the district will need to seek reimbursement from the staff for the overage that was spent on lodging. And that lodging amount calculated on the $3,000 is $50 per person. And so that's just the initial conversation that I have and guidance from legal counsel. Now, based on what direction the board wants to provide to me and give me, then whether it's to seek, legal counsel to further look into this and let's say Mr. Bureen is more experienced on this than I am, write some kind of language to the Auditor General about the meal portion, because I explained extensively to business office and my staff and Mr. Bureen, it was a working breakfast and a working lunch, and no, it was not exorbitant. There was a chicken and a meal and salads, but that's where the mistake was, that it was treated like a conference. And had we been told that it's not a conference and we'd have to do this, then we'd take another route in organizing this retreat, and that's the information I have right now.
Okay, let me try to clarify a couple of things for the board. That's administrative information, right? But where we stand now is, she said she met with legal counsel. She called legal counsel. When she called the Auditor General to get a clarification, always remember that the Auditor General already made a determination, and that determination was that there would be repayment. So knowing the Auditor General's office, she said to her, because she knew she was concerned, if you don't think that you need to pay all that, like anybody, seek legal counsel. But as far as we're concerned, meaning the agency, the Auditor General's office, you're going to pay that unless you tell us or you show us something that would negate or minimize that amount of money. So this is when she calls the attorney. The attorney says that there are certain provisions to provide food. I personally, and I'll say this before I go any further. First of all, there's a difference, just so the board understands, and I know you do, but it's very simple. Either you travel individually on a per diem, or you go to a conference, and the fees, as she said, very well explained, covers all the meals, whatever meals are included in the conference. If there's three, there's three. If there's two, there's two. Sometimes there's only one. Sometimes it's only breakfast because the conference doesn't last that long. So what happens in that case, the 19 people in this case come back and they should have shown receipts and been reimbursed because it was not a conference, and that's where the confusion came in. And that's why it exceeded the per diem, okay? So in her discussion with Jessica Sanchez, the legal counsel, she was advised, and Jessica showed her, if you want to pursue this, then these are some of the things that I can do legally, like you go see an attorney and the attorney says, well, I don't think you need to pay that child support, or I don't think you need to do this, but you've got to employ me to do it, all right? So that's where we are right now. The Auditor General is standing fast and saying, you're gonna have repayment. Personally, I don't think that we should in any way charge any of our employees for an error that was made. Our employees in good faith went to that conference thinking that it was going to be a leadership conference, which it was. It was very productive. It was very informative. We've got to show some loyalty to our employees by, not now, but we can give some informal direction that I feel that the employees shouldn't have to pay anything. However, if the district says we're not going to pay anything and you don't seek reimbursement, then this board is going to be called out by the Auditor General. And they're going to say, wait a minute, we've already told you that a major portion of that is a gift of public funds. Just like school districts are told you can't pay for clothing for employees, that's a gift. You can't pay for some memberships. You can't pay for a lot of little sundry items that happen to show up. Those are gift of public funds, unless it's contractual. If it's a part of the contract, then all of it's allowable. But this is something that was an error that was made by the district. And that's where the responsibility lies. So I'm thinking, and my recommendation to the board is, I don't think we should charge those 19 people $199 in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't their fault. However, we do provide her, if the board goes along with it, and I'm going to recommend we do, that she seek out legal counsel from Jessica, which, by the way, is a private law firm, right? They're part of the trust, and they're not going to do anything for nothing. So we have to reconcile that $3,937 if we employ the services of Jessica, the legal counsel, to make an appeal to the Auditor General by showing, as she mentioned, she didn't read them all, but there's some Attorney General's opinions there and some other laws that could justify not having to pay the total amount in just only the $50. So I'm going to recommend to the board, in loyalty and deference to our staff, I wouldn't want to have attended that conference and thinking I'm going up there for a leadership conference is going to cost me $200 because the district it was and I'm not saying it personally, the auditor's saying it. The district's liable for it, right? If we, and this will be the last thing I say, if we don't do anything about it, and we let it go, because what's in place right now is the auditor saying you seek repayment. That's where we are. If the board, as we did a few years ago with the AIA, if you remember, we had all those violations supposedly, and we felt it was only in the best interest and in showing good faith to our athletic program, we hired an attorney to fight the AIA, if you remember that. So, fighting or challenging the one aspect that we are going to have to pay the one part, but the one aspect that could minimize the expense for employees, and I think take it down to $50, we can instruct the superintendent informally to look in to see what the cost would be to get Jessica, the school representative, to seek and find what she can do to make an appeal so that the employees don't have to pay that $199. So after all of that, that's going to be my recommendation to the board. I think in all fairness to our employees, that they shouldn't have to repay the total amount. So I'm going to open that up for discussion.
I just wanted to ask that, say the lawyer goes in and looks into it and finds that, no, you're gonna have to repay the whole amount. So, we're still gonna ask our staff to reimburse that money, or what route, there's no other solution?
We don't have any choice. And that's why I'm saying that this letter came to the board. We don't have any choice. That if we don't seek repayment, as they say here, of all those expenses from those employees, and we just let it ride, then this board's in trouble.
Yep.
Then the Auditor General will call the Attorney General's office and say, the Douglas Unified School District is in violation, and we are informing you that there is a misuse of public funds. Then we're not dealing with the Auditor General anymore. We're dealing with the Attorney General. And that happens all the time all over the state of Arizona with school districts that trust me, it happens all the time, that school districts are always in trouble. So would we knowingly ignore it and say, oh, it's all right, let's let it go, and then wait to get a summons from the Attorney General's office? Or do we say, in all due respect to our employees, we have our legal counsel appeal or challenge with all their best information, the Auditor General, and that's why she didn't really tell Anna, call your attorney, and she said, well, what she was saying is if you don't like the finding, seek legal counsel, like in any other tort, right? So what we want to do is, I think, instruct her to find out what it would cost to go through the exercise of appealing to the Auditor General and having her come back to the board July the 5th and give us a formal report for action, and then we decide, at that time what we're going to do.
What I meant was, just to be sure, that there's no guarantee she's going to be able to lower that. And our employees are gonna be responsible for the $199.
If she can't, she's not gonna guarantee anything.
No.
She, in the letter that she read to her,
Yeah.
she cited Attorney General's opinions and some state laws and said, I think that it could fall under this and this is what we might do, like any attorney would say. But the chances could be good. But our question is it worth it for us to have her even try to preclude our employees having to pay $199? That's the bottom line.
I think so.
Yes, and that's what I would ask. This is something that, has really, I'm struggling with.
Well, it's nothing that anybody needs to get emotional about. It's just the fact that school districts deal with audit findings and misuse of public funds and improper bidding procedures and improper procurement procedures all the time. It happens everywhere. So it's nothing on you. It's nothing on our staff. I think our staff, in good faith, made a decision. And it was wrong because the Auditor General says you're looking at misuse of public funds, all right? And I don't want to belabor that. Is it serious? Yes, it's serious. It's serious if we do nothing. What happens? The Auditor General notifies the Attorney General and says they're out of compliance. They're giving away public funds, and then you can just imagine the rest. We don't want to do that. We're going to do it, but we're going to fight for our employees, and our staff included. This staff included, and not only Sonia and her staff, but everybody here. So I'm going to recommend strongly that we say to the administration that we would like for you to, without a formal motion, because we can't make a formal motion, but I can instruct her, the board, depending on the sentiments of the board, to look into it, contact Jessica, see how much it's gonna cost, come back July the 5th, or a special board meeting, and say, this is what it's gonna cost, and the board say formally, yes, pursue it. And I would say and recommend that we do pursue it, so that our people don't have to pay $199 for going on a school trip. I mean, that's ridiculous. Okay, and there's no culpability to anybody. People make mistakes, all right? So how do you feel, Mr. Lindeman, starting?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to ask a question. When you, Ms. Samaniego, when you mentioned that food was allowed.
Yes.
And so this takes a big chunk out of what we owe.
Yes.
Now, is there a line item travel thing that we have that would cover the lodging?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
The monies cannot come from,
Yes,
because
from the
it's
district.
the district cannot say, okay, we're just gonna cover for that extra,
Mm-hmm.
because technically, what the Auditor General is saying, you're giving money out of the
That's
district.
where the gift of
Yeah.
public funds
Right,
comes in.
and then
If
on
the
top of
district
that, then
pays
you're
it.
gonna pay more
Again,
on top, so it cannot come from a district fund.
But technically, this was part of the employees' needs or so it's part of their employment day. So I don't understand why that can't have been covered.
But what we're talking about is minimizing the liability
Yeah.
to the employee. The district can't pay it. We can't pay it. They've already pointed it out very, very sternly there. If you don't look into it, if you don't seek repayment, it's a misuse of public funds, all right?
It's been a long time, but isn't there something in the contract that says any other duties needed or something like that?
Yeah, well, there's contract language that says as other duties as assigned or something like that, which says, some employee may say, well, I don't have to do that because it's not listed in my job
the
description.
job description.
Well, that's the job description as other duties as assigned. But I feel pretty, just in the information that Heinfield and Meach sent to Mr. Soto, because this apparently has happened at other districts, so there's already, an opinion.
Precedents.
Yes,
President.
presidents, and an opinion done, and Jessica Sanchez, which is our attorney, wrote on this matter already, and that was sent to Mr. Soto by Heinfield and Meach. So I'm confident, I feel pretty good on that piece. She clearly says in there that where she doesn't see it as a possibility is the lodging over priced hotel fee, and that would equal to about $50.
Right. And I think the going rate right now per diem is $64. What is the per diem right now?
59 something.
What's the
Sonia, what's a per diem for her?
The city.
In state.
In-state.
$64, isn't it?
Depends on where you're going.
The city.
And what time of year, there's a lot of factors
Right.
involved in that. And
But average is around that, 55 to 60, 65 bucks.
55, 61.
So you can see where it was exceeded. Go ahead, Mr. Ramos, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, having a leadership retreat, this is something beneficial for our staff, because you do accomplish quite a few things when you meet. And it's our duties as board members to support and to help our staff, achieve. And I just wanted to mention that.
Certainly. Dr. Gomez, you have any comments?
No, I mean, it's very evident that what we have to do is we have to follow legal course, like what you're saying, we have, whatever it costs us, we have to follow, have her write a letter to the Auditor General and say, this is what is available because of their contracts and stuff like this, and we'll go from there.
She's already done the research. And of course, there's Attorney General's opinions regarding that too, that probably would allow it. So she's got to appeal to the Auditor General and let them see that and let them make a favorable decision and say, well, we won't hold you to that, but we're gonna hold you to the rest. And that way, it would minimize the liability to the employee. Mr. Lindeman,
Yeah, I can go along with that.
you go along with that? Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
All right, so you heard the crux of the
Yes.
conversation. We want to pursue it. We want to minimize the liability.
Okay.
And I just hope that the staff understands that we have no choice on the other.
Yes.
There's no choice on
Thank
the
you
other.
for that.
Okay? Any further discussion regarding that?
No.
Sonia, did you want to, that's your department. I mean, not that, nobody's pointing the finger. Like I said, there's no culpability, but do you want to respond about anything, about the dynamics and how those things could happen? It is your department.
Members of the board, it was a one-time, occurrence. It was something that, like Ms. Amaneo said, it wasn't each individual traveling, because then it would have been a different situation. It was a retreat, a one lump sum retreat. So never did it go through our heads like, oh, we have to divide it into those 19 people. And that's what the auditors caught. You should have divided it into 19 people instead of the district going, like this group going. So that was our bad. But, I mean, like they said, oh, make sure, we audited so many, but make sure there's probably more out there. But there isn't. I guarantee you there isn't, because it
yes.
was a one-time travel. We're really good with our travel.
Yes, they're excellent, I will say.
And-
Nothing gets by them without,
So that's why I say, I
Scrutiny.
assure you, there's not, if they came and looked at more, they wouldn't find any more, because there isn't any more. It was a one-time retreat that unfortunately happened, but that's how we always learned. We learn by our mistakes, and it will never happen again, that's for sure.
Sonia, were there retreats in previous years?
Yeah, but did we do retreats for our district? Like,
yes, we've done them at other times, but they've been one time at the Gadsden, another time at, the Visitor Center, another time in Tubac. So
they
it just,
probably met the allowable.
one's-
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, the
But,
cost.
if it was a lump sum, it probably met the allowable, but this one, I guess now with prices being so high and being out of town, maybe that's what factor into the higher amount, but you can't find another one. We promise you there's no more in there.
No, the board has every confidence in you and your office, and
Have an excellent team
that goes without saying.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you while you were up there, how did Mr. Soto do this morning when he presented the budget? Were you comfortable with what he said?
Yes. I plead the fifth. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
No, he did great. He did great, yeah. Everything's
Thank you
good.
very much.
and I will say Sonia worked very hard on that
Yeah,
to get this to this meeting. So thank you, Sonia.
thank you, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to leave it that we're going to do the
Okay.
best we can for our employees and hope that we have some extenuation of what might have happened. Okay, with nothing more on that, discussion action on the payment to 17 employees for a total amount of $2,040.47 for a discrepancy found during an internal payroll audit. Ms. Samaniego.
So on your background information, this was a directive given to me to, when I brought this information over to you in an executive session. And so the direction was to go back 2 years and do this audit payroll for these 17 employees. And so we are presenting this for a total of $2,040.47 for approval.
Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman.
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion?
Yeah, I had a question, that's like 17 names there, is that divided into 2,000?
Yeah, the
How does that
total
work out?
amount, for all of these is $2,040.47.
It's
So
not much.
it's not much. So
Depending
some-
on the number of
so-
hours.
Yes.
17 divided into 2,000 is whatever.
Right.
That's what we're looking
But
at.
it's
Or-
not
$100.
Yeah, it's not equal. It
It's
just,
not the same
it's
amount.
per their employee record and that
Right.
audit. So some could be $40.
But
Some
it's
could be.
split 17 ways.
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay,
Right.
thank you, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's an unexpected expenditure
Yes.
too, for reasons that we already know about. So, Dr. Gomez, do you have any comments on that? Mr. Ramos? Any further discussion? Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes?
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bermejano?
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I need a second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Mr. Ramos.
Mr. Ramos. Are we at the next board meeting without unless?
July 5th.
July 5th.
July 5th?
At 2.
And we can address,
At 2 p.m.
At 2
oh,
p.m.
second?
No, at 2 p.m.
Oh, at 2 p.m.
July
Okay,
5th, 2
I
p.m.
have a,
I think Dr. Ed had said you wouldn't be here.
that I'm not going to be here,
Uh-huh,
right, that
yes.
first Tuesday in July.
Yes.
I will be absent also.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.